Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 119. We're back in the basement studio a little bit later on Saturday. Some sleeping in by some people, mostly you, a little bit me. And by you, I mean my co-host and teenage son Jack, who's nodding.
Was I passed out when you came home?
You were passed out on the couch, almost snoring, breathing very heavily. Yes.
Yeah, no, that happens.
Yes, I had, haven't had one in a while, but a poker game with some friends, the colleagues last night that went till I was the designated driver. So by the time I got everybody dropped off safely at home, I think I got home at about
because you don't really
20 to 3.
You're the one who do.
I do not drink to excess generally. So yeah, I came home at about 2:40, and you were
because I was up late
sleeping on the couch.
Usually, I am up late, but that was because mom and Nate were going to bed, so I was just I was down here figuring for a while. So then when I came up, it was 12, so it didn't feel that late, but it was already mid, or you know what I mean? So it felt like if we started watching shows at 10, it felt like that kind of thing, you know?
But it wasn't.
Yeah.
So you slept in super late this morning, but that's okay.
I think I woke up at 10 something, then I don't know, and then I woke up at 12 something, so that's weird.
No major plans until tonight when your brother has another basketball game, but so yeah, we're sort of wrapping up our week off together. We've got tomorrow and then back to school and work for us. So
we don't talk about that.
We took a couple day trips, right? One to a couple malls. Your brother found some shoes.
I've been to 5 malls in the past week.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that. And then we took a trip to Hamilton, which is about an hour and a half from us, because it has one of the last brick and mortar, really nice collectible shop, right? That has an entire wall of WWE figures in boxes, and then bins on the floor full of loose figures.
Where you can get your pants dusty.
You can dig through. So you spent, I would say, a good hour in that store.
Yeah, at least. And then I spent $230 there, I want to say.
Yeah, so you bought a bunch of figures. I'm assuming you'll discuss those later, probably, in figuring it out in the final segment. So yeah, it's just been a lot of driving around and doing stuff as a family since you had some time off. And I don't know, it's been pretty fun, and everybody stayed healthy somehow. Your grandparents, my parents, are feeling better. They battled COVID last week, but both tested negative, so that was good. But anyways, I don't know, anything else to discuss in your week, in your day, in your time?
No.
You're heading out tonight with friends again, probably?
I think so, yeah, because I went last week. That was kind of cool, actually. Yeah, so we also went to Peterborough last Sunday, and
we did.
They had this video game place. Actually, we didn't mention that. That was awesome, actually. So mom's cousin they own a bubble tea place, and across the street they just had this video game place, kind of like the figure place, but with video games.
Chudley's, and it's all.
It was incredible.
CDs,
yeah,
DVDs,
DVDs, video games organized by the console and stuff. They had a bunch of 360 games. So I found TNA Impact, the only Impact Wrestling video game for the main consoles, and then I got WWE All Stars, which is the super arcadey one that came out a decade ago, and that's one of the. It's so awesome.
I bought a Sega Genesis
ridiculous.
basketball
Awesome.
game. I can't remember what it was
and
called.
I got this Wii game, it was a Clone Wars dueling game.
Have you tried that yet?
No, that's the only one I haven't tried. And then I also got for 360, I got X-Men Origins Wolverine Uncaged Edition, because I hate that movie with a burning passion.
And you were amazed at how many movies have video games?
Yeah, it's weird. Why?
Who's
playing Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? Who?
This store, A, has a ton of inventory. B, it's all really well organized by
it's
genre or console, and then alphabetical. Also, price is super reasonable. I didn't even feel the need to haggle.
I literally only got the Wii game because it was $8.
Right, so
sure.
Just a really good find in Peterborough, and again, right across the street from relatives.
Yeah, and I got AirPods.
Store, and you got some leftover AirPods from
it's
Cousin Kathy?
Pretty solid week, because I got AirPods. Got the jacket. I got 3 figures on Monday because they had some new AEW figures at Toys R Us, and then we got an Octagon.
Oh yes,
so we found a UFC
from
playset at pawn shop, right?
Yep.
So that's cool, a fight bet kind of deal. And then the absurdity that was Hamilton.
Yes, Hamilton was a good time for you.
Figs and a belt that I modified.
Not a lot of reason to go to Hamilton. I was talking to one of Corey's buddies from high school who was a police officer in Hamilton for a long time, but is not any longer. When I said we took a family trip to Hamilton, he's like, "Why?" I said, "Well,"
and there's a couple of Walmart, Toys R Us.
Yep,
chains.
together that we sort of.
I was
we just kind of had no agenda. We had a couple places we wanted to get to, and then it was if there's ones close for you to look for figures,
went to
then
an outlet mall.
We'll hit it. So I found some really cheap basketball shoes that are neon yellow, which is a bold move for me, but I like them.
And Nate got similarly colored shoes.
Yeah, bright yellow and pink are his, right? His are much nicer. He got curry 9s. They're beautiful.
Yes.
But anyways.
Everyone got something.
Everyone did well, but I suppose we should transition into talking about some wrestling, because other than my cousin Mark, hi Mark, I don't know how many people are listening to the banter.
Yeah, he told me about that the 1 week.
He always listens to the banter and has something to say, so we'll give him a shout out there. But anyways, let's move into talking about wrestling in our first segment, which is where we take a look at some of the week's wrestling news and rumors. All right, so some ratings talk for a couple of the shows we always cover, and that is NXT's episode of Halloween Havoc Fallout, I guess it would be known as.
Okay, I thought you were doing the ratings for actually Halloween Havoc. No. I was like, it wasn't the weekly one, was it?
Oh, but I don't think I even told you I did a solo mission for Halloween Havoc yesterday, since you didn't feel like you wanted to watch it, and I had the house to myself and a microphone I wanted to test. So if you wanted to listen to that, anyone, if you haven't seen it, it is posted from yesterday. It was a 2-match show with my summer. You saw the first match, which you agree was pretty fun, right? The ladder match.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good. I mean, it was like a Karrion Kross situation where Noah Von Wagner is Bliss.
They used him sparingly, but what he did was really good. Like throwing Wesley 20 feet onto a table was pretty impressive. But yeah, sorry. So the episode after Halloween Havoc of NXT got their numbers back up over 700. So 716,000 viewers, up 5.9%, earned a 0.16 in the key demographic, which is down 16.7%. So it's NXT's 4th largest audience total of the year so far. In contrast and comparison, I guess, AEW Dynamite from Tuesday night, was back to Wednesday night this week. Yeah. Sorry. Averaged 997,000, so just shy of that 1 million mark, but up 32.6%. Seems like a ton, but that's because they switched nights last week and we're up against some competition there, right? So back to their normal numbers, and a 0.32 in the key demo this week, which is up 23%. So basically like a full rebound from the dip in numbers from moving to Tuesday night last week. So everything seems to be pretty much back to normal. Dynamite hitting about 1 million, NXT hitting about 700,000. So what you got?
Let me see. So AEW signed the Kingdom. Woo!
Yeah, so excited.
We here at FNS Wrestling Podcast are very, very happy and enthusiastic.
This is my son constantly taking joy in my really not liking the Kingdom at all. So he now, just the smile on his face, the joy that you have when I have to suffer with any sort of Matt Taven anything.
It's so funny.
Is great.
It's the best.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Like, again, I'm not a fan, but it's not like they're awful. It's just a personal thing. I don't enjoy them. I think they think they're cool, and I don't see it. I guess it's basically
I think we all think they're cool. So
the nicest way to say it. Related to signings, I guess I'll try and segue. I'll go to my bottom here. According to a report from PW Insider, Juice Robinson and Bandito have both agreed to and signed deals with All Elite Wrestling. So no word yet as to the length of their contract or when they will actually begin appearing on AEW TV regularly. But again, it's sort of bittersweet for me because I like both of those performers, especially Bandito. But where do they fit in on this roster, right? Like, where did Ricky Starks go? Where has Hobbs gone?
Hobbs, yeah.
Right? There's already, like, even Wardlow seems to be backburnered a bit. So these people that they do great jobs building are suddenly disappearing once they're built. So I'm not sure where these guys fit in, but they are talented guys. So what are you going to do? What else you got?
Let me see. Rock's daughter Ava Raine debuted in the Schism.
It'll be a Resthold coming up. She sure did. I mean,
that's fun.
Different from predictions of I'd heard Isla Dawn or Aoife Valkyrie, possibly even. Remember her? I thought she was kind of cool, actually.
Oh, I kind of remember.
I thought she was pretty cool. But so it was neither of them. It was a bit of a surprise. Got a decent reaction, actually, from the crowd at NXT when it happened. But so in some bad news, I guess, in a post on Instagram, Tommaso Ciampa revealed that he recently underwent surgery on his hip labrum, I think it was.
Which would explain, because I was like, I haven't seen him with Miz in a decent bit.
So when I just quickly looked, it said that it's up to a 9 months recovery for this type of surgery, but a lot of times these guys are faster, just the shape they're in.
Ciampa recovered pretty fast. When he had, remember the neck injury when he vacated the title?
Like,
that was
first of all, the shape they're in to start helps them, and being in that shape shows that you have intense dedication to be fit, right? It's not easy to look like that, especially as they're getting older, so decent chance it'll be less than that, and I hope it is, because I don't know, Ciampa on main roster, some people seem to think it's going okay for him. At least he's present on main roster a lot, right? Like, he got called up and he's doing stuff.
And he's good, so.
He is good. What else you got?
Did you see he returned on SmackDown?
I did actually, yes.
Yeah, so Emma's back?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't even recognize her, really.
I
only saw some quick clips of it.
I saw her like backstage, I was like, what? And then, so yeah, she entered Ronda's open challenge, lost, obviously, but...
Yes.
So I assume she's, like, back, because, like...
I would think so.
She hasn't been in Impact in a while,
right.
Has she?
No, she's gone from there.
Right, so I assume she's back.
They basically just gave her gimmick to other people, right? Essentially. Now, Vex, they're doing it. They've added Giselle Shaw to their group as well.
Nice.
They were in the main event this week, actually, on Impact.
Fantastic.
Which I don't think I mentioned it because it was kind of neither a Highspot nor a Resthold. It was just kind of there.
So I think she's probably like back now, and
she's fine, right? Like,
she hasn't been around since 2017.
Her character work, it can be pretty good. In ring, she's kind of hit and miss for me, but she's capable of having good matches, I think.
I don't mind them having more depth to the division, especially on SmackDown. It seems lacking. Like, they really need to unify those titles because I think, like, unifying the world title and the tag titles is fine, but I think it's blatantly apparently now with them having done that, they definitely need to do it for the women's division.
Yes.
It's a little bare bones.
Anytime on main roster anything feels a little bit fresh or different, right, is good, because it kind of starts to feel like it's just the same people circulating, and
Emma hasn't been around in a long time, so there is a lot of new combinations, I guess, which, I mean, and, like, she's not the best, but at least it's something, I guess.
Or old combinations that I've just forgotten about. Right, that will feel new.
That's the only one I remember.
Right,
is because she was Asuka's first main roster opponent.
Right. So I mean, welcome back to her, I guess.
Yeah.
Following reports that WWE is done with the annual Hell in a Cell PLE, which I hadn't heard. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Did you hear the speculation on what other changes might happen?
Dead. No.
So,
I just remember seeing like less gimmick pay-per-views.
Right. So there's speculation that Wrestle Votes, which I don't know how reliable that source is because I haven't come across it before, but we clarify by being sometimes these are rumors, right? That there's been talk about bringing Money in the Bank back to WrestleMania rather than having a separate pay-per-view, and having kind of makes sense if you even, the speculation is because Mania is going to be 2 nights from here on out, you go women's one night, men's other night.
Yeah, but then
which would make sense.
Then you can't have like Seth Rollins cash in work because Mania's before Money in the Bank, you know what I mean? Like, then it's like you can't really cash into Mania.
No, but you could cash in any other time. Like, Mania to me should be big enough that you don't need anything extra like that. Like, save a cool cash in for a lesser pay-per-view somewhere. I don't know. But anyways, I only have one more, I believe.
Speaking of Money in the Bank.
Ooh, nice.
WWE have reportedly at least formulated the idea of having Austin Theory hold, so this is kind of like I would prefer to hold the briefcase for a full year. And
then just not use it?
And then that event comes, he would kind of be like forced to cash in before the night's end.
Interesting.
It'd be kind of interesting.
I don't hate that.
I don't hate it. I kind of like the NXT idea because that just seems to benefit.
And he can cash it in for anything, right? Or is it have to be a world title?
It's a world title.
So it'd be better if they got one of them off Roman, so he had more options, right? You could be like, he could come in this match, he could come in that match.
You can't de-unify.
You can't de-unify. Oh, they can.
You can introduce a new title.
They'll just magically say he vacated one.
No, that's what they do every time. They unify the titles and then bring another one. You unify the W title, WCW title, bring in the World Heavyweight title.
Right.
You unify the World Heavyweight title with it. Eventually, they brought in the Universal title. Like, you can't de-unify the titles, but you can always bring in a new one.
I guess so.
Mm-hmm.
In a story that will never go away, it seems, just sort of related to it, apparently Chris Jericho and CM Punk were also involved in a verbal altercation following All Out.
Told me that.
And so multiple sources say Jericho approached Punk following Punk's media scrum, following the scrum, his comments, and the fight afterwards, and apparently told CM Punk he was, quote, a cancer to the locker room and a detriment to the company.
Which makes me respect Jericho a little more.
And you know what's even more impressive is apparently moments after that exchange, he went out and did his media thing and was totally like calm and didn't really. He did what Punk refuses to do, which is not make things public, right? Like handle things privately backstage. Sort of modeling, I think, what people should do.
Right.
So he went up and did his...
he's been like one of the locker room leaders, right with Mox and Danielson and whatnot.
Right, so he went and did his media thing without even seeming like anything was wrong, which is a stark contrast to one CM Punk, I would suggest, right?
Indeed.
I am tapped out for news.
The only last one I had was because I saw something about JR's feelings about being moved full time to Rampage, which I had no idea. So
Yes.
I'm just like mentioned, yeah, JR got moved to Rampage, which I think that's perfectly fair. Like,
It's
then,
fine.
like, he's not completely gone for those who love JR, and it's like a consistent thing. And then
Yes.
I don't mind that because I don't really need JR.
No, and we
on
don't
Dynamite,
watch
but-
Rampage
but,
often,
like,
so we don't hear him.
That's all right. I think
Yep.
that's a solid spot, and like
I do
apparently
too.
he's like perfectly fine with that. And I just thought that was interesting because I had no idea that was even happening.
Right. I had heard, but we don't watch Rampage that much anyway. So, all right. Well, that's going to wrap up news and rumors for this week, and we'll move into our most detailed review every week, and that is taking a look at this week's episode of AEW Dynamite. All right, use those electrolytes. Tell us about Dynamite.
Yeah, so we open with Jericho and Garcia versus Claudio and Wheeler Yuta.
Straight into an interesting match, the way I like it. Yep.
This feels like a typical Dynamite main event too. Like I feel like if there wasn't a world title match, this would be the main event because I feel like how many times have we seen like Chris Jericho and insert Jazz member here against
somebody and somebody.
Blackpool or something like that.
Yeah,
you know?
it does.
Like,
You're right. But we
Right.
get it first instead.
Yeah. So yeah, for those of you who are waiting for it, you get it right now. There's a body slam and a senton for 2 by Yuta, and then he sets up for the hammer and anvil elbows. Claudio sets up Jericho as well because he was trying to interfere, but Hager distracts the ref, and then so 2.0 can provide an assist, so that stops.
The synchronized elbow strikes I do not enjoy. I don't find anybody but Danielson's look that great, so that
I don't mind Mox.
That it's like this signature thing they do is not my favorite, but
I'm fine with them doing
it's a
it.
nitpick for sure.
I'm fine with them doing it, mostly Mox and Danielson. If Mox and Danielson do it, I don't care.
Yeah.
But I don't need it synchronized.
No, that was a bit.
If they do it, whatever, but don't synchronize it. It's just
kind of ironic because that's a little more sports entertainer for me, right? Which is the other team's gimmick.
I feel like the least fitting guy to do it is Claudio because he uppercuts people. He doesn't elbow people.
Right.
He uppercuts people.
I just find it doesn't look great all the time.
Yeah.
And they really draw attention to it. But anyways.
Uppercut and a German suplex combo by Claudio and Yuta for 2.
That was nice.
Yeah, that was cool. Hager distracts Claudio and Jericho hits him with a springboard dropkick, knock him off the apron. After the commercial break, Garcia has Claudio in a sleeper, but he gets up with Garcia on his back and transitions it into a vertical suplex because he's a big, strong boy.
He really is. Yes.
Claudio makes a tag out to Yuta, and he hits Jericho with a diving splash for 2. Jericho counters a springboard uppercut from Claudio midair with a codebreaker, which is pretty nice. 2 count with Yuta breaking the pin.
Yep. I like Yuta's splash because it's not like everyone else does a frog splash, and he just does a normal splash, and it looks impactful to me. I like it.
He's just like jumping and just like comes down.
Yeah, it looks good.
Jericho goes for a bad shot while the ref was occupied with an outside brawl. But he gets powerbombed by Claudio, and then Claudio swings Jericho while he also has Garcia in an airplane spin because, again, strong boy.
Just ridiculous. Like, that shouldn't be a thing.
And he starts running around the ring, taking out Hager in 2.0.
Crazy. It looked awesome, yeah.
And then Claudio wins the match by hitting Jericho with an uppercut and the neutralizer for the win.
Yes.
Classic Cesaro.
It was. Honestly, the first few minutes of this, I wasn't super impressed, and then the momentum picked up. By the end, I really liked the match. I thought Yuta's, like, hot tag in the middle, kind of closer to the end, I guess, is where things seem to kind of pick up. And then the work you described Claudio did right leading up to the finish, I thought was awesome. Just his energy outside the ring, running around, strength, speed, all of that on the floor. I guess if I'm nitpicking a little, I did like the match, but I don't really think either member of Jazz stood out here at all, right? It was mostly...
That's one of the things I said, is, like, I thought Jericho did a solid amount, because, like, there was, like, the codebreaker by. I said, like, I felt like Garcia was the only one who didn't really do a whole lot in this one, because usually I see something cool from him, but he just was kind of in the background.
I felt like Jazz was there to kind of support Blackpool Combat Club in this one, right?
Yeah.
To make Cesaro look good, because Cesaro kind of needs to get back on track, right? Sorry, Claudio needs to kind of get back on track, so he picks up a quality win here and is the one that really did the heavy lifting to the finish. So
yeah, that reminds me, because Jericho's facing like a Ring of Honor champion next week.
Yes.
As I've seen rumors that
Taven,
or speculation,
just to make me happy.
Yeah, it could be Ono.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
That would be awesome. I love Ono.
I do too. We quite
Chris
enjoy
Hero.
Ono.
Get a thing with Claudio going.
You loved him in NXT because he's just a big hoss that just strikes look amazing.
Sweet forearms though, and Cassius Ohno's awesome.
He is awesome.
I mean, I know why he never got anything, but I also don't know why he didn't get nothing because
his body type isn't exactly what anyone wants. But whatever, he's a big
Kevin Owens
hoss husky dude that smashes people.
If he was around
Nothing wrong with
longer
that.
with the North American title, he would have been a cool North American champion.
Him and Chubby Walter would have had a nice match together, right?
Why didn't they do that? That would have been awesome.
Anyways, I like this opener. What did you think? We got distracted there. It happens, folks.
I thought this was a pretty good opener. I was a little surprised with the result. Given Jericho and Garcia have more going on right now, I thought they'd win.
True.
It just seems like Blackpool Combat Club tends to lose to Jazz a lot. It just felt like one of those times where Jazz just gets an easy, cheap win. But I'm pleased we got a Blackpool Combat Club win for them. It doesn't always happen. I thought there's still the action. Felt like a typical match with the talent involved, but a little shorter. And like I felt like Garcia didn't really do much.
He really
here.
didn't.
I at least remember a bit from Jericho, but I don't remember anything from Garcia.
I agree.
Other than getting suplexed. Everyone looks solid, but I don't remember him doing that much. Claudio probably comes out of this looking the best, like you mentioned.
Yes.
Maybe sowing the seeds for a rematch with Jericho, which I wouldn't mind. The first one was good, and Jericho has had a solid run, but I would say I prefer Claudio's Ring of Honor champion. Just feels more fitting to me.
Yeah, I think once this angle runs of like the most dishonorable person being the Ring of Honor champion, right? That then we'll get into maybe once they get TV or whatever, they'll get that off of Jericho and get it more standard, hopefully. Not that he's done a bad job, but
pre-TV champion.
It's all just basically that belt from a company that I used to like is just supporting a gimmick right now, right?
Right.
And that's not the best.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, solid opener, nice win for Blackpool.
Agree.
And then we cut right to a dancing interview.
Holy Renee all over this show. Like, keep track now of how many times she comes out.
I'm alright with it.
She's like putting Shivani out of work, though.
Yeah.
Bit, but
well, Shivani's on commentary.
That was funny because when she talks to MJF and he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine," and then he's like, "Oh, so you're sending her out there to get attacked by him?" It's kind of like, "Oh yeah, that doesn't sound the best." But anyway, sorry.
Because it hit Mox's wife. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
There's the one thing where she was good. Oh yeah, it was the.
She's totally fine in this role and the sit down role. She's good. It's just a lot of her this week.
Yeah,
got no problem with it. It was just an observation, not a complaint.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you better not be complaining.
Never.
Danielson says he's a little frustrated. He's frustrated with losing to Jericho in Toronto, and with Garcia's betrayal and Yuta talking back to him last week. He says he knows a lot of people hate Guevara, and he has no problem with him other than his smug face and his stupid blog. He'll take out all his frustrations on Guevara tonight. Yuta comes in, says he's glad Danielson is finally angry, and says they just beat Garcia and Jericho, and says he's a grown man. He and Danielson get in each other's faces, and they're kind of arguing and bickering, and Claudio plays peacemaker, saying today is a good day for them, and it's Yuta's birthday. And later they'll talk about this like adults, and Claudio beat the Ring of Honor champion, so cool.
Yep.
A solid promo from Danielson. The infighting Blackpool Combat Club is interesting, kind of, because their faction operates differently from most factions, so it's kind of interesting. But I do hope it gets resolved, because I like the whole crew.
Me too.
As a whole, so. Yeah.
Daniels's complaints make sense about why he's unhappy. All of those things are true. I thought Yuta sounded good interrupting, and this is how it's believably how adults might behave in this type of situation, right? And I'm all for if we're unleashing this like super frustrated, angry Danielson onto the roster, right? Where he's going to get even more violent or whatever. I'm totally fine with that. So yeah, I find Blackpool Combat Club interesting as well because they're not completely a cohesive unit. They're guys that have
they're not even really meant to be.
They have like a similar philosophy on stuff, but they don't necessarily always agree, including Regal as the leader, right? So it's kind of a different take on a faction, and I enjoy it too. Yep. So yeah, I thought this was good.
Mm-hmm. Next we get an Elite vignette for the first time since.
Oh yeah, that's right.
There's different shots of moments throughout their AEW run, like from the pre-AEW conference in Jacksonville. There's like one of them posing in an entrance all together. The tag title win for the Bucks, the world title win from Omega, the trios title win, and each shot has like a quote from one of them, and it kind of gets like muffled out as each image they get dusted like Thanos style.
Yeah, like dissolves away kind of into ashes. Yeah,
Thanos snap.
Is that? I don't know. I'm aware of that thing, but I don't watch those things.
Gets
as you
dusted.
Know. Sure.
Where he dusted half of
I'll trust you to be hip and cool and me to not know any of that stuff.
Anyways, it's like that.
It is.
I'm not sure what to make of this, but it's interesting. I'm hoping it's teasing a return, and it's not like, I'm afraid like it's like AEW's dying.
Because the final image is like the E disappearing from the Elite disappearing, right? So obviously this is, part of an angle, and it's going to be they're not gone and they're coming back. So it was, I thought it was a cool way of just sort of letting people know, hey, this is starting to be resolved.
And it provides you zero information.
Right.
So
are they heel? Are they face? Are they changing anything? Are they the same?
Are
like,
they leaving?
we don't
Are they
know.
coming back?
Right.
Nothing. Like it's kind of cool. It provides you with literally zero information. It could not be less helpful.
Right. Like a 40-second thing that creates a bit of intrigue. I thought it was fine. Yep.
Next we get Jazz interviewing. Garcia says Blackpool Comic Club make him sick. And Jericho says he can't believe Claudio would accept a win when a baseball bat was in the ring and they cheated, which I thought was funny because, and like, even like.
It is
I
kind of
think
funny.
It was Marvez. I think it was Marvez this time. Or Renee. I don't know. They said like, you brought in the bat.
Right.
And like.
And that's sports entertainery, that whole part, right?
Yeah,
I thought.
It's like the bat was, not even that they used it, just the bat was there.
Yeah.
So that was funny. And he says Jasper fired up, and now he wants to be any former Ring of Honor champion. Doesn't have to be world champion, any champion in Ring of Honor ever.
Yes.
CM Punk.
Because they're running out of world champions, I guess, right? Got to cast a wider net.
Right, because someone like you can't do Nigel McGuinness because he's, you can't do Jerry Lynn. You can't do Xavier because isn't he dead?
I don't know.
Second Ring of Honor champion, I think. Anywho,
could be.
So yeah, they're running out of guys. He's issuing open challenge next week. They're not revealing who it is. It's for like one of them surprise things.
Right.
Guevara says he'll do what he always does tonight, put on a show like you've never seen, and he'll kick Danielson's ass. That would be kind of a hard thing to keep up. Always putting on a show you've never seen, because like, if once he does one, then I've already seen that.
Right.
So, well, I guess like some people haven't already seen it, but then some people probably have seen it. So it's like a catch-22.
Yeah, you can never win. This I noticed right away. That's a really big group when they're all together, right? Like, there's a lot of people.
Well, yeah, there's the original 5 plus Guevara, Jay, and Conti, so that's 8.
It's a lot of people. So kind of funny that the constantly cheating Jericho is mad, right, and suggesting someone else cheated when everybody clearly saw that there was no cheating there. So
he cheats like in every match except for the Dalton Castle one.
So funny, on brand for sports entertainment there. The segment was fine, but I mean, like, this group already, for me, gets enough TV time without getting matches and a kind of lengthy segment, too. Like, again, we're looking to free up.
I guess it's just setting up a thing next week.
It is. We're looking for time to get some other people on this show instead of same people multiple times, but nothing wrong with the segment for sure.
Yeah, so fine promo. The bad thing was kind of amusing. Jericho opening the quest to beat the champions is interesting now because we could see a bunch of other former champions, like Cassius Ohno.
Right.
And it opens the window more, which intrigues me because it makes me think they do have something in store. Because you don't just like, if it was just gonna be someone like, I don't know, someone not interesting.
But again, bringing in people not on your roster when there's people on your roster not getting on TV ever. So I'm both interested and a little frustrated because I love to see new people and new whatever, but like, where's Ricky Starks, man?
I saw another. He hasn't been in ROH.
No, but where is he in general is all I'm saying.
Not ROH.
Well, thanks. But he's been nowhere. Like, build him, and then he disappears for weeks and weeks. Doesn't make sense.
I saw, like, one of the possibilities that someone said was, like, technically you could do one of the Bucks.
You could, for sure. But I feel like they'll bring in somebody.
I know, they wouldn't.
But who knows?
They wouldn't do that, but I thought that would be an interesting perspective.
Yes.
Next we get FTR versus Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee, nameless tag team. In a number 1 contenders match, and they claim to enter and seat steel chairs on the stage to watch the match without rapping.
I'm gonna again point out for the number 1 contenders spot that FTR has had for 7 months, but decided for no reason to put on the line here.
Because they were disrespected. Because
they are dumb baby faces.
They were disrespected, and they don't take gruff from nobody.
Like, it's so simple to manipulate the dumb baby faces, right? So easy.
They're open. They're fighting. Not champions.
Right. Which makes them stupid.
Yeah.
Because they could save that fight for the actual tag team title shot, but no. Anyways, I've made that clear.
They're fighting.
Doesn't make sense
baby
to me.
faces.
They are.
The F in FTR stands for fighting. Fighting the revival. Or fighting the revolution, or whatever it stands for. I don't think that was ever settled.
I don't think it was either.
It was like, it could have been forever the revival. F the rest. Something else.
Yep. I was excited for this match, at least.
So there's notables. There's when Lee leapfrogged. Not leapfrogged. Lee with 2 E's.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. He leapfrogs both members of FTR and then hits a crossbody. So that was cool. There's a Dax hot tag flurry as we typically get.
We do.
There's a pin back and forth between Swerve and Dax. There's a high German to Swerve by Dax, which is pretty cool. Powerbomb by Dax, followed by Dragon Suplex by Cash for 2. Lee tags in and he and Swerve hit that fireman's carry into like that double strike that they do, which is pretty cool. Like
It is.
rolling
Looks
elbow and Zaguri. Lee throws cash into a sit-up powerbomb from Swerve for another typical move of theirs. Dax counters the Swerve stomp into a slingshot powerbomb, which is pretty cool. Then he gets pounced by Lee.
Yes.
Powerplex to Lee by FTR for a near fall, kinda.
Yeah. And I thought I put that Keith Lee seemed unaware of the second half of the powerplex because he like started to like move around instead of staying there and waiting for the splash, but it looked okay still.
They improvised.
Yeah.
FTR hit Lee with a smash contraption for a near fall, which was pretty impressive, actually.
A really clean one, too. It looked good. And the fact that that's a pretty protected move, right? So that's good for Lee to be able to not be pinned by it, at least.
Well, yeah, because Swerve pulled Dax off the pin.
Right.
So kind of protecting both ends there.
Yeah.
The finish comes when Swerve hits Dax with a sneaky low blow no one saw, and I guess you could do. They're doing the thing where like, oh, Lee didn't see it either.
Exactly.
And then Lee hits Dax with the Big Bang Catastrophe for the win. The Guns were also holding cashbacks. They were at ringside. Or they were
dressed as
front
FTR.
Row. They were front row. Yeah, with cardboard.
Because at first I'm like, why is
cardboard belts and stuff?
One of them's in a wig, and then when they cut back, one was clearly being Dax, so it made more sense. Yeah.
And I guess it continues the Swerve heel thing because he also kidnapped Billy Gunn on Rampage.
I saw that and was torturing him or something.
Like it was like a kidnap interrogation thing, like in a room with like one light in the middle.
Since he's been replaced by Shinsuke Nakamura, isn't Shinsuke Nakamura in Hit Row now?
Oh yeah, or I saw he teamed with them. I don't know if he's sense. Like
in there or not.
Yeah, imagine.
I saw
that'd be funny.
Yeah, I don't love that FTR lost, obviously, but. Like you said, Swerve cheating to win without Lee being aware of it makes a lot of sense. This is what they're going with, the one heel, one babyface tag team, which I also think is kind of an interesting take on that. A really good match. I actually liked it better than the opening tag team match, and I enjoyed that one. So, like, I don't think this is obviously top tier FTR after we just watched FTR Aussie Open. We've also seen some FTR Briscoe stuff that's amazing, but still a very good TV match. And yeah, we're going to get a rematch of Acclaimed and Swerve and Lee, which is fine because they have good matches as well. So the tag team division, there's some nice teams in there. I just wish FTR were more of the focus. But a very good tag team match on TV. What do you think?
Oh yeah, it was pretty good, I thought. Although it underwhelmed a bit, in my opinion. I thought it was good. I definitely thought these teams could have a better match, of course, with a bit more time and like a bit more given to them. But I thought it was good for what we got.
I agree.
Like, I think
a really good TV match.
Obviously,
right?
They can shift into a higher gear. But,
yes.
For what they did, I thought, it was a good TV match. I thought the finish was pretty well done to add to the dynamic that we've had with Swerve and Lee. So I think that worked really well.
I thought so too.
And it's a solid way to give the Acclaimed. I think it gives the Acclaimed. It's a solid way to give them like a bit more title reign longevity because it kind of holds off the inevitable FTR title win. Or supposedly inevitable. I would have said it was inevitable like 5 months ago.
Yeah, who knows now.
So it holds that off for a bit longer, though realistically, how much longer can they do that before? It's just insane.
And it's weird because there's only one heel among all three of these teams, right? It's like all baby faces except for Swerve.
Right.
So it's kind of an interesting triangle.
It's a shame because now FTR do look dumb for accepting the match. But
right?
Also now, because it also sucks because now they have to feud with the Guns, so that just seems pretty low for any tag team. Even more so for FTR. On the plus side, we get the rubber match for Acclaim for Swerve and Lee because they are sitting at one apiece, I guess. Right. So hopefully maybe add something extra to it. I always want that stipulation for the last one. And I do worry this is where Swerve and Lee split because it seems like that's where it's headed, unfortunately. But that's all right, I guess. A solid match, though. I suppose they had some more time. Would have benefited them a lot, I think.
I agree.
And but I liked it. A Saraya interview. Sorry. Saraya.
There you go.
Because hat commentary.
Stealing Saraya's name, Kind of.
Britt Baker interrupts and they start arguing a lot. And then Renee says that they want to talk about this, they'll do it next week. She's kind of like interrupting there, and so it was short, so not a lot of time to say really other short. Than I like that they gave Renee more here. Her and Saraya they had like a catching up bit before they actually started the interview, so that was all right. But then she actually kind of got involved here, so I already that's some more personality than the other interviewers they've used, so I like that.
Right.
And I think this means maybe some nice sit down segment or something that would be kind of cool, like the Yuta Danielson last week, but not.
And
like,
don't they
so
say
short.
that later that it's coming up?
Or that's what Renee is suggesting here. So yes. I like because it gave her a bit more personality here, so I kind of like that.
Yeah, I there again, really really quick, nothing wrong with this, but like my question is, Saray really a get for AEW? No. Like I want to know, are there people out there that are looking to see her as a featured person in 2022? Like I don't This is not them bringing in someone that I fully understand, and maybe I'm wrong, and there are tons of people that just love to see Saray, but it's not any extra draw for me personally. But yeah, the segment was fine.
Next we hear from MJF. So MJF says to cut his music and says the devil's in Virginia and asks if they have any devil worshippers tonight. Renee asks, Renee's back again.
Oh, yeah, man. She's like 5-6 times on this show.
Renee asked him about the full gear match against Mox.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump in here. It really annoyed me. Like, we're looking right past Penta, though, right? Like, it's basically her going, let's talk about when you face Mox after Mox beats Penta tonight. So this is why even though I complain about the name, the Penta Mox match should have been an eliminator. Why did it have to go straight to a title match? Make it an eliminator. I might believe some of the near falls along the way, right? It just, I don't understand why you make that a title match when there's not one person out there. Even your contracted employees are talking about the next match Mox has, as though the Penta match is already like a given, which it is. But like, I don't like them making that choice. Is my point. Anyways, go ahead.
I guess you could, like, I mean, I agree, but I guess like the only way you could swing it is like because Mox is the champion already, so it's like you go with that. You're not gonna say like, oh, the match with Mox or Penta,
right?
Because he's hard.
But then it's like either you have rankings or you don't have rankings. Like, where's Penta ranked in the singles? Right? Nowhere near the top 5, I wouldn't think.
Do they trios rankings?
So, anyways, I don't get why it's because you're just making Penta a lame duck here, right? And I know I don't complain about that all the time when the outcomes aren't in doubt, but it bugged me here because they're literally talking about Mox's next match in an interview before his match with Penta. So not a fan of that choice or organization or whatever.
And because Penta's my boy.
Well, and I like Penta for sure.
Right? And Mox is also my boy.
Right.
So, yeah. Do they have trios rankings?
I don't know.
I'm curious.
Talk about this segment. Let's keep it moving.
What the hell? Where was I? Okay, so yeah, Renee asks him about the full year match against Mox, which is funny because she's married to Mox.
She is, in fact, married to Mox. That is true.
So that's funny. And Jeff Mox, a Moxley promo, which I thought that was actually really funny. Actually, he's doing like the, the whole manners. That was actually funny. And says with all due respect, when he thinks of Mox, he thinks of Mid. It was actually really funny.
It's like 3 letters, blah, 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 starts with M.
And then it was really funny because Renee was like, you can't just say with all due respect and then say something like that. Yes. And then he's like, with all due respect, shut your mouth.
Yeah.
That was really funny.
Good old, the most Healy he gets on this promo.
Probably, yeah. He says he will earn it, but when he said he would wrestle clean, he meant relatively clean because he's still MJF, which I thought was kind of funny. He says he was annoyed when Regal said he only uses the Nux when he wanted to. He thinks it's BS. He can't beat that people think he can't beat Mox without the ring. So he makes a one-time promise not to use the ring to beat Moxley. He says at Full Gear he is fighting against everyone who ever told him he couldn't make it, and he will shove the chip on his shoulder down their throats.
Yeah.
And Hathaway comes out saying he understands MJ wants him at 100%, and the firm will lay a hand on Mox, which is kind of was he kind of saying like sarcastically.
I don't know. Like, it seems like he's not because some weird babyface thing going on here.
No, I mean Hathaway.
Oh, Hathaway?
Like, we won't lay a hand on him. Wink, wink.
Yeah, I think that was.
I didn't look at him when he said.
I think he was being sarcastic, or like definitely hinting that he wasn't sincere.
That's what I mean. Yeah. And MJ says, should Mox beat Penta tonight? At least he's mentioning it. He doesn't want the firm anywhere near Mox. If they do anything, they're fired. And he delivers his catchphrase, boom, done.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how to feel about this. It's him, again, dancing around the possibility of being a babyface, and obviously there's developments on that later in this show. He used fewer heel techniques here than usual. Like, fighting to prove everyone that doubted you wrong is not a heel move. The crowd responded to him not as though he was a heel. He mentioned being in Virginia a lot, but never really insulted the people living there or the state. No
sports team insult, which is like a staple.
None of the standard heel things. So, and the tension between Hathaway and MJF seems out of the blue, and it made this whole, like, remember when they formed this firm, I felt like they were just throwing stuff together because a bunch of people were missing and whatever, and that it was kind of flimsy. I really feel like that is the case here, because oh, I've known Stokely for however many years and he's my best friend, and now like in 3 weeks when I don't need this group anymore, it's just like a quick split and gone, right? So I don't know. It's again, I'm not ready for MJF to be a babyface yet. I just think there's so much
I don't want
more.
him to ever be a babyface.
I think at some point, but right now I'm not ready for it. So I came out of this a bit confused. Like MJF did an excellent job with his delivery as he always does. I'm just not clear what's going on here, and I mean it gets clarified a bit obviously later on, and I'm not sure this is what I want either. What about you?
Yeah, so I thought it was another customarily good MJF promo because I think he always
Of course,
delivers it well.
always.
He's kind of baby facing, which is weird compared to a normal MJF promo. This is baby face because there's still some hints of heel, but largely different. No insulting the crowd. He wants Mox 100%. He's gonna fight clean. No ring, no firm. It's kind of odd. I'm still pulling for this to be a ruse, and him promising not to use the ring in Full Gear seems a little far fetched. I mean, that's like a tip off for me because that could be messing with everyone.
That's the one that went too far for me.
He also told the firm away here, which I think is an odd move for someone like MJF. I hope it's a tactic to catch Mox and Blackpool Comic Club off guard, because then a surprise interference would be even more effective.
Right.
And I'll kind of continue on this later. Great promo from MJF, but a weird one nonetheless.
And that is part of what's cool about MJF is because even though he is leaning into this babyface, like there's always a chance, like he's done this before, right? Where he shows little glimpses and then it's like, why did you ever believe me, sort of thing, right? So we can hope that that's the case.
Absolutely.
Because I'm not ready for babyface MJF.
Mm-hmm. And then very fittingly, we cut to a Matt Taven promo.
Yes.
Matt Taven Wardlow promo package. Taven says Wardlow is a horrible name, but if the Melvins are offering out title shots, he'll step up, and he says he's a former Grand Slam Ring of Honor champion, blah, blah, blah. Wardlow says he can shout his name because he is I, and I am him, and he is Matt Taven, blah, blah. Why didn't he say that?
Because it's stupid.
That's my favorite catchphrase.
I know, because you know how dumb it is, and you like it ironically.
Oh, yeah, I love it. It lists all his accomplishments, all he wants. None of it matters in the ring with him, and is inevitable he will be the next casualty of the Powerbomb Symphony. He should be the next note on the Powerbomb.
Why was Wardlow speaking like one syllable every 5 seconds?
Will retain. I don't know. I noticed the music in the background was really weird too. So I thought Wardlow delivered a solid bit here, and then I thought Taven did absolutely incredible. He knocked this out of the park. The delivery was on point, and honestly, he put MJF to shame here. So I think
Eddie Kingston take notes.
Yeah, exactly. He no doubt convinced everyone of his certain victory on Rampage. I'm pretty sure we had a new champion last night. I don't even need to see it to know. And I would agree, Wardlow are freaking Melvins. They suck butt. And so I think this was great, and this was incredibly realistic. I loved it, and that is how a normal human speaks, so I thought it was great.
Exhibit A of Matt Taven and my issues is him using the term Melvins, right? Which people don't use, but he's so sure that he's so cool and it's so clever that it'll like catch on or that people will know what he's saying. I cringe. Because this is him going like, I'm going to use a term nobody uses because I'm just that cool.
He is I,
and I have news for him. He is not that cool.
Oh, Matt Taven's incredibly cool.
But he speaks fine, right? Like he's like I said, he's like 85% of a good wrestler. It's just everything. He's missing 15% in every category, and he thinks he is just plus, and it bugs me.
I can't wait to see what's a Borealis or whatever.
All of his moves have names.
How do you say it again?
Every stupid move he has a name.
Aurora Borealis.
Aurora
Borealis. I want to see that.
Yeah, he names everything he does because that's what cool boys do.
Oh yeah, he's the coolest.
But anyways.
So this honestly saved the show to me. I think this is one of my favorite shows.
My favorite thing coming out of this is obviously Taven is taking a loss early in his AEW career. So clearly they're not strapping a rocket to him, brother.
They're strapping two rockets.
Which is the right decision.
Mm-hmm. Well, this definitely has bumped up the show for me. So that was pretty awesome. Best promo on the show by far.
Oh yeah, he's talented man.
Yes, sir. You're just a Melvin.
Oh God.
Oh, I'm gonna start saying that. That's my new thing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start
like it.
Calling everyone Melvins.
Yeah. And no one will know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
And you can pretend you're super cool like Matt Taven.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. I gotta start doing that now. Next we have Bryan Danielson versus Sammy Guevara. So some notables, there was a Romero special by Danielson, like the surfboard hold thingy where he holds him above him with the.
Yeah, before all of that, Sammy was in control because it was immediate knee strike.
Oh yeah.
From Sammy,
right.
So he was dominating really early until that. Yeah.
Danielson attempts a Danielson special, which is like that. It's basically like a butterfly suplex left into an armbar, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Guevara quickly gets to the ropes. So Danielson transitions into a mount and repeated shots to the face. Wrecking Ball dropkick by Danielson. He goes for running off the apron to follow, but Guevara counts with rising knee strike, and then a huge springboard moonsault to the outside. Like, great height on that.
Ridiculously graceful.
Graceful, yes.
So graceful.
It was very nice.
Just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Guevara, kicking Danielson. It fires him back up, and he paintbrushes Guevara like a palm strike. And then unleashes chops and chest kicks in the corner. Suicide dive by Danielson, and then a top rope shotgun dropkick back in the ring. Wait, to clarify, what is Aurora Borealis?
I don't remember. It's his name's every move, so I'd have to look it up for you.
Okay.
But I can try.
It's a top rope, isn't
it? Probably.
I don't know. That's what I thought of it. Kicks by Danielson. Guevara ducks the roundhouse and sends Danielson in the ropes off the rebound. A standing Spanish fly for 2.
Oh, it's a frog splash.
Aha. Wait, that's stupid.
Hey, you said it, brother.
I mean, that is awesome.
The Flight of the Conqueror,
What's the Flight of the Conqueror?
The tip, some other move of his.
Just the tip? Is that like a kick?
That's a knee strike.
Oh,
But anyways.
No, that should be your foot. Foot is the tip of your leg.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Carry on with stuff way more interesting than Matt Taven's signature moves, which are every move he's ever done. Throw a name on it.
A punch. Okay, stupid Melvin. Avalanche Spanish flag by Guevara for 2. That was pretty nice. Guevara goes for the GTH, but Danielson flips out, goes behind, hits a Poison Rana, which is very uncharacteristic of Danielson.
Yes, agreed.
I mean, that was cool.
But I address it in my comments a little bit.
The Psycho Knee by Danielson, and then he kicks Guevara's head in with the stomps, which now he kind of, this time I noticed he did it along to the yes chants, as if he's, which I did not like.
No.
I like when he's just like kicking their face in relentlessly, and this is just like he's like it's like when Shawn Michaels tunes up the band,
right?
It's that kind. It's like I'm like, I don't know, that just was kind of weird here. I kind of noticed that. I was just like, and then Danielson chokes Guevara in the triangle hold, elbows to the head, which is always a nice finish. So that was cool.
Yeah, I get kind of nerd level with Danielson matches, and I don't know if it's because he's the best or because I look into his stuff more, but like, this match made so much sense to me style-wise that I could have enjoyed it just for that reason, because you've got, like, Sammy's trying to create distance, right, and fly around the ring, and Danielson's trying to stay in close contact with him to hit all his strikes and submissions, and then you even have segments where Sammy does try to strike with Danielson, it's not effective, and Danielson ends up taking over again, right? So all of those details I love. Even the finishing sequence, right? You have Sammy landing a whole bunch of strikes, and then going for his GTH. But all of that is close contact stuff with Danielson. So that just gives him time to find a counter, which in this case is something he rarely uses, a Poison Rana, but it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that leaves right into the finish. So it's 2 smaller guys, but with really contrasting, but also complementary, if that makes sense, right? So you've got the high flyer, fast guy who needs to hit and run and keep you away, and Danielson who's just trying to get a hold of you to hit you and put you in holds. So I really got into this match, probably more than most people, but I thought it was a really entertaining. I think this was my match of the night. I really enjoyed this, but I also just look for stuff in Danielson matches. I think it just, the story he tells, it all makes sense. And I thought these two worked really well together, and their styles were great together. You?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually like this a lot too. Funny you say that. I thought it was an excellent TV match. Commentary even mentioned here, but it was really nice clash of styles.
It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Despite them both being small. And it's not like, because later we're going to get it, and I still like it, with Hater the powerhouse, right, against the tiny little waif. So that this was like 2 small guys, but their styles are different, and it worked really well for me.
Mm-hmm. It worked really well, I thought. Danielson did a good job here. I also thought it was one of it was like the best Guevara's looked in a decent while. I thought he had some cool spots, even something as simple as the moonsault, which he just nailed this time.
Yes.
Or the one time he got dropped to the outside by Danielson and just looked really cool.
When Sammy gets thrown out of the ring, he just
Spanish flies were
reckless,
nice too.
Yes.
Danielson, not much to say, but that's just because he's pretty much the same every time, and it's like it's really well done. I like some of the submissions he has. And commentary analyzing some of his stuff at points, which is kind of cool. Overall, pretty nice TV match, I'd say. I thought it was really nice.
Me too. Loved it.
Next we got a quick Ray Phoenix interview
with
Alex Abrahantes
and Renee.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Phoenix says Penta will be a double champion tonight.
Nope.
And Alex says Phoenix should be the next Atlantic champion.
Sure.
Phoenix, because Phoenix says any member of that triangle could be double champion. Christian interrupts, saying last week he should have warned anyone with a title, and Luchasaurus has been walking through the competition, including Jungle Boy, who beat Phoenix on Rampage a couple weeks ago. So he's saying Luchasaurus should be next in line. And Orange Cassidy comes in saying, and I quote, "You're talking about me. You're talking about this, the title. Next week, let's do this." So, man, a few words, obviously.
So a triple threat.
I think a 3-way next week, which I think is kind of cool because it's an interesting combination of people.
Yeah, I thought this was a basic segment, but it sets up an interesting match. Christian sure shoehorned the term "right hand of destruction" in there multiple times.
I think it's a fine nickname, but man, did he jam it in there this time.
And it feels like Luchasaurus as Lance Archer seems to be continuing, right? He's just your standard talented, good, but like we need a really big monster to throw in here, so throw him in, and he'll never win anything, but he'll like put in impressive showings, it feels like. So yeah, I had no problem with this.
Next we get Riho versus Jamie Hayter. There's only a few notables. There's a diving crossbody outside by Riho, just gracefully flying through the air because she's like 99 pounds or whatever. Like just twisting snap suplex by Hayter for 2, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I had like snap jackhammer question mark, kind of what it looked like.
Yeah. There's a crossbody by Riho, but Hayter rolls through and hits a brainbuster for 2. Thank God she didn't actually get crossbody because she could just catch her easily.
Yes, for sure.
Like, catching a softball. Code Red by Riho for 2, which is like
that looked
cool.
Good.
The counter into the Code Red was very nice. There's a dragon suplex by Riho, and Hayter wins with a ripcord lariat, which I was hoping she'd hit the backbreaker, but
the Rainmaker she got going on.
Yeah.
Which is not my favorite choice for a finisher.
Post-match, Tony Storm comes out, points at Hayter, so I guess setting up that match.
Yes.
Maybe a title program finally.
Imagine. Could it be?
Could it be?
But I fear like Hayter won't win, even though I want her to, because Tony Storm's
I think after the interim nonsense, they were like, "Here comes the world champion, interim guys,
right?
Interim."
Maybe they're just gonna transition and forget all about Thunder Rosa, and it's just like it never happened.
Like, she's all of a sudden the champion.
That's what Vince's thing, right? Like if you just wait a month, no wrestling fan could possibly remember anything. So continuity be damned, doesn't matter. I like this match. I thought again the size contrast, right? They even pointed out that at the beginning, Taz points out a 6-inch, 40-pound advantage for Hayter. One thing I can't stand about Riho, we have some issues with Riho, right? A lot of her stuff just doesn't look impactful, especially against a bigger, stronger opponent like Hayter. And her bridging out of a pinfall attempt needs to stop because it puts her opponent in an awkward spot where they are going for a pinfall in a way that is different from every other time they go for a pinfall because they need to leave room for her. Because if Hayter is lying with her body weight on Riho at all, Riho's not bridging out of anything, right? So that move needs to go. But that being aside,
there's this other pin too where Hayter just kind of pinned her, and I was like, she could have theoretically bridged out of that one, and she didn't.
No,
so.
It's just so I like
even
this
when
match.
She hits like the foot stomp like off the roll up. It's like it looks somewhat impactful, but like from anyone else it'd be like
I know, but then you get like the Code Red. It looks good, so she needs to find ways where she's slamming people. I don't know what it is, but a lot of her
even
stuff is like
you don't get a lot of power from her.
That wouldn't hurt, especially it wouldn't hurt Jamie Hayter, right? They're not wrestling someone tiny. But anyways, I thought it worked because Hayter got to look dominant. Riho does what she does, right, which can be enjoyable despite her lacking some impactful looking offense. I think I'm happy with the result. Hayter needs a quality win. I wasn't 100% sure she would get it here because they seem to love Riho, so I'm happy she got the win. I didn't think this crowd was connecting with Hayter as well as some in the recent past have, right? So I'm hoping that she's still going to get a push because I think she should become a regular at the top or near the top of the women's division. So a good match. I don't know, but not great. You?
Yeah, I thought it was solid. I don't love Riho, and some of the issues with her are evident pretty much every time. Like you already went through those basically. But at least she had some solid spots here and there. Hayter Camilla's looking pretty good. Some of her offense just looks better ragdolling Riho.
Yes.
I'm disappointed she didn't do the backbreaker because that could have absolutely
She did it, but didn't nail it.
I missed it.
And it was one of the things that bugged me because, and maybe.
Well, I just like her straight like the Iranagi backbreaker.
So she hits the backbreaker and kind of missed it, and then I didn't love it because Riho didn't really sell it, and then immediately hit a Snapdragon after.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. Like I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt because maybe it was because Hayter didn't get all of it, as they say, but she did hit it, and then Riho didn't really sell it. Yeah.
And so the ripcord Larry was solid, I guess.
I'm not a fan of that. As for her, she has so many other cool moves that I think she could do better than a Rainmaker for a finisher. But That's just
the
me.
move that beats Omega though. So
it's true. It's the most protected move pretty much for a while there.
Other than the One-Winged Angel.
Yes, that too.
Oh yeah, I saw this clip of Ospreay. I guess it was like, I don't know how old it was, but I saw some guy talking about where like he was facing some guy, and so I guess it was like maybe when Kenny Omega was injured, I think it was.
Yeah.
And so he hit a One-Winged Angel on some guy, and he like pinned him, and he like lifted his arm up to like make it like he kicked out of the One-Winged Angel, because I was in like him and Omega kind of beef. I thought that was really funny.
It's funny.
And I'm surprised I didn't hear about that before. So I did say I wanted some of the women's matches to stand out from each other more, and this one only did because like Riho's not really around that much, so I guess it's like a little different. But
yeah, for sure,
it was okay. It was solid. Happy Hater won, because I definitely thought they would hand the win to Riho again. Hopefully she does face Storm. Hopefully we get like a solid program out of that instead of
Me
like
too. Yeah,
fast track. I guess with the pay per view coming up, they can finally build to something.
That. Yes.
So I hope they do that.
And Storm Hater could be a good match, and you've got your clear babyface heel dynamic. Finally. So let's go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then we get Eddie Kingston interview, and Renee back again mentions Kingston's friends being concerned on Rampage last week. So there was some segment with
Right, was Ortiz I supposed to know what this was?
I saw that.
Okay.
Which was random.
I was like, this must be an internet thing that I missed, and that annoys me a bit.
They said it was on Rampage.
Oh right, which I also don't watch. So.
But that's something it's not like Dark.
No, I can't blame them for expecting me to watch it or be aware of what happened there.
Right,
that's on me.
It's like last week on Dark, Eddie Kingston had an intervention.
Right.
Like, at least it's on Rampage. So then we can blame you.
Yes.
Like the Melvin you are.
That's right.
Kingston says it's all fine. He's doing great. He says, let's talk about Mox's match tonight again. Kingston says it'll be hard for Mox, because I forgot that he was friends with Penta. Because he was the one that made the Lucha Bros keep fighting each other. And then that's when Pac returned after COVID.
Correct.
And Death Triangle reunited. And that's when Eddie Kingston had a family. It was like HFO before HFO.
Kind of.
Because it was like Butcher and Blade and like other people. It was like, oh, it's a whole thing. He says he thinks it'll be hard for Mox, but he thinks Mox will retain. It was solid, it was short, kind of interesting, the storyline they're running with Eddie Kingston's like behavioral issues. So
and clearly something is wrong, and he's just trying to like
shake it off.
Be like, nope, I'm fine, I'm fine, but he's not fine,
which is interesting. So
yeah, I don't know I'm glad to see Eddie back and on the mic, but I didn't think this was special for an Eddie Kingston promo because he's amazing. And again, I didn't get the reference he was making, but now I do. So sure.
Mm-hmm. Next we get a Darby Allin vignette.
We do.
/ Jay Lethal promo. / not really. He says as you can see, Sting hasn't been around a while. Whoop whoop.
We've made note of that many times lately. Yes.
Whoop whoop. No.
I find it strange that they decide to explain it now, but that's
I don't really care.
Right.
He says it's because about a month ago. Okay. He told Sting he wasn't happy where he was going, wanted to disappear, and Sting he can't do that because he's Darby Allin, he's a former Team champion, blah blah, other stuff.
Yeah.
He says he's going to do it by himself. And he says Lethal had an old friend who knows his biggest weakness. I thought he was alluding to it being Sting.
Yeah,
because Sting was in TNA.
I still don't know where that's going, but
I thought he was like implying Sting betrayed him, and I was like, oh, okay. And he says he knows it too because it's always been himself. But he tells Lethal to bring his friend next week and tell him to his face. Cut to Lethal go backstage. Understand Darby thinks last week was bad. He didn't see nothing yet. Darby says he's going to get it.
Yeah, he does.
So I like the Darby vignette. I felt some of the old ones. I don't mind a bit raising for the Sting absence, although I don't care because he's gone. So that's the point. Finally got what I want. Lethal and Co. were fine as well.
Yeah, Darby sounded good, but it was a little bit of the old tell and not show. Like you said this to me back then. We have no evidence of that, and then I felt this way. We have no evidence of that. Right? It would have been nice to, instead of him just informing us of all of this a month after the fact, like providing us this information somewhere along the way. But anyways. It definitely fit his character as we know it, the whole vibe of it.
Then we know Sting should be gone for a decent while because, like,
yes.
What has he done that hasn't involved Darby Allin?
Right.
Nothing.
Well, they even said he talked him out of retirement or whatever, right? So it's all Darby Allin's fault. And then Lethal and Dutt's reply was standard stuff. And I really enjoyed the first match between these two, so I'm hoping that the second one is as good, if not better.
Mm-hmm. Next, we go to our main event, which is Jonathan Moxley versus Penta.
And everyone survives this one.
AEW World Championship. Oh, yeah. No concussions here.
No injuries that we know of.
I mean, yeah, as we know of right now.
Right.
There's a fast chop exchange that then devolves into forearms and then just brawling. Super kick, not a thrust kick.
Thrust kick, Excalibur.
No. Super kick.
And Excalibur, it's funny because he threw to Taz or somebody to be an expert on the importance of a luchador's mask, and then he sort of laughed at himself later, being like, I don't know why I needed you, because he's a dude that wears a mask, literally, right? But he like threw to somebody else to talk about how masks are important, and then he realized
they kept
that's
bringing
dumb.
up Triple Mania.
Yeah.
Villano or whatever.
Yes.
So he sent Mox to the outside. Then Penta falls a topic on Hilo. Then later Penta runs at Mox. Mox does an overhead belly to belly into the corner, which looks pretty nice.
It did look pretty vicious. Yeah.
Penta goes for the package pile driver, but Mox gets out and hits a cutter and a stump pile driver too. Nice little combination.
He stuck it, and he just kind of, Penta was like just on his head for a second there before he fell. Yeah, it looked good.
Penta hits the arm breaker and covers Mox for 2. No selling here.
No.
Codith.
Yeah.
There's a DET on the steel steps by
Looked
Mox,
good.
which is pretty cool.
Yep.
Trio Voe double foot summit, Penta followed by package power driver. Talk about sticking it.
Yes, he nailed
for
it.
a near fall, so that's pretty nice. No fear factor here. He didn't hit that.
Well, they called it that.
No, but like the actual one.
Oh, well, according to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well.
The names have changed apparently, and you're not here for it.
Can name moves, right? So.
Well, ask MacTaven.
Exactly.
Just name every move.
Every move. The overhand chop will be the
Demelvinator.
That should be his finisher.
It'd be amazing. Yeah.
And then finish comes and Mox wins it with 2 paradigm shifts, which they can't decide if they want to call a paradigm shift for Death Rider.
Well, I think the paradigm shift is the less elevated one. The Death Rider's when he like gets them past horizontal.
They've been calling a paradigm shift for years, no matter what.
You get really stuck on what they called things.
But because you're trying to come up with some reason for it, which like the logic's already flawed.
That's the reason.
But that's flawed.
But they're creating their own world now and disregarding other worlds.
You should have done that 3 years ago.
I don't know.
I thought it was Japan called Death Rider, because in Japan he's the Death Rider.
I think the Death Rider is the elevated one.
In AEW, it's a paradigm shift because that was his quote after.
To me, the paradigm shift
that was his promo quote.
Is the one where he rocks back, and the Death Rider is the one where he elevates them.
But it's been the paradigm. Then why haven't they been doing that for years?
I don't know.
They've literally never called it the Death Rider until Forbidden Door because New Japan was involved.
I don't know.
Like no.
I think that's the difference. I could be wrong.
The paradigm shift has always been like the paradigm shift was the elevated one when he and then the dirty deeds is the other one.
Can you tell I don't have much interest in this conversation? It doesn't matter. Who cares?
Me.
I know, but why? Like their world, it's different now.
Because paradigm shift is better.
Okay. I will only ever call it the paradigm shift in honor of you and your concerns.
Or you can call it Aurora Borealis.
Yeah, that too.
That works too.
Yeah.
After the match, Morrissey just comes and hits a boot to Mox, and the firm swarm him.
Yes, they do.
And they cut to the Blackpool Comic Club locker room being chained shut, as Alex Marvez reports. Why him?
It was very convenient.
Why not Renee?
I'm back here by this locked door.
Why not Renee?
I don't know. She was already busy. She'd done enough. Marvez needs to get his time.
Marvez needs his time, yeah. MJF walks out, he's conflicted, and then he walks in the ring, shouts to Hathaway he's fired, and Ethan Page just clocks him with a boot. Is that like his thing now? Just because, like, remember he just like clocked Luigi Primo the one week?
I liked that Ethan Page looked like he was the guy of this group because he hit that and he got to hit the Ego's edge
right? To MJF.
So that kind of made me happy.
And then Morrissey's like the muscle, which looked great because he chokes in MJF through the table, which I think was solid too.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a good main event about what I would expect from them, and I'm glad we finally got this match because I think it's one of those rare ones like at the top of the card we haven't seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't ever remember seeing Mox vs Penta. So
me either.
I'm glad they crossed off the list. I mean, I think you kind of had a good point with the Eliminator thing, but I digress. The only thing hurting the match, other than like obviously know who wins, but also the lack of face heel dynamics. There's a little less tension in the match.
Right.
But I think they put on a solid one in spite of that. Strike exchange really early on was really fast paced. So that was cool. They both nailed pile drivers, which was awesome. GT on the stairs was cool. I like Mox had to put him down with 2 paradigm shifts.
Mm-hmm.
Paradigm shifts.
Right. All paradigm shifts. 100% paradigm shifts.
As that keeps him looking a little better in defeat, which I like. And I thought it was pretty good all around. The post match stuff was solid. Beat down on Mox was solid looking. Then when MJ came, I thought they beat down MJF pretty good. That was pretty brutal. Did. And the table spot was a nice ending visual. Okay, so here's my conspiracy theory. I hope that this is still a ruse, and maybe MJF is going more elaborate on this one, such as the desperation he has to be a world champion. So maybe
that'd be good.
He and Stokely had some secret talks about creating this whole facade to ensure his victory, acting like Regal got in his head, announcing the title match ahead of time like a babyface, promising not to use the ring, But because MJF is smart and knows it would probably take a lot to convince Buffalo Comic Club
So
and someone
slammed
like
through
Mox.
a table and taking an ego's edge.
Yeah. And someone like Mox, like it would take a lot to convince like someone like Mox, who's like, because Mox is like smart guy, even like that's been depicted a lot, right?
I guess
it would take a lot to convince him that he's changed. So maybe he arranged this whole thing, and he's willing to take an absolute beating if it means in the long run they can swerve everyone and help him win the title, because the end game is the title. So maybe he's willing to take this if like in the end they're gonna help him and win the title at Full Gear. Right? Yep. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
And maybe he will stay true to his word and not use the ring, but then the firm pull a ruse and they help him win the title. And mostly I really hope it's a ruse, which is kind of the whole reason for the conspiracy theory, but I think there's a chance that this happens, and I would very much like that. So therefore, that's my conspiracy theory.
I hope you're right, because again, I'm not ready for babyface MJF.
And if I'm right, you're a Melvin.
Right. I thought this match was good, but not great. The pace was steady, but it never got into that next gear. There was a lot of like time between. There were big moves, but there were some times between big moves, right? And again, like we've talked about, Penta had 0 chance of winning. That doesn't help. Eliminates any of the near fall opportunities, and when he hit his, whatever you call it, what do I call it? The fear factor? Yeah. Is that what I'm not supposed to call it? I can't remember. Because that should be a near fall, but it's not, because there's no universe where he's winning here. There was some cool stuff in this. I thought it was just a decent main event overall. Good, but not great, as I said. And I don't agree with MJF becoming a face if he actually is. So again, always a possibility that there'll be a swerve somewhere involved in this. Because it's too soon for me. So I left the show a little bit confused, but I don't know if that's a bad thing all the time, right? Like, wrestling can be unpredictable, and that's totally fine. So
sometimes it's part of the fun.
I guess we'll see where it goes. So overall, I liked this show, and I was struggling between 2 grades for this one. So in ring, I thought nothing was bad, right? I really liked the opening tag match, the tag team #1 contender match, even better. The women's match was good. Danielson Guevara was my match of the night, and the main event was fine. Segment wise, I didn't think anything really stood out this week. The MJF interview would be the one, but again, being not sure where it's going and maybe not being happy with where it's going. But everything else, promo and segment wise, was fine, but I didn't think outstanding. Definite character shift in MJF is one of the keys to this episode, and I'm personally not ready for it. And again, it just sort of drove home that, unless your theory's right, that his affiliation with the firm was really flimsy and seemed to be like conveniently created without a lot of forethought. So what grade are you giving this show? Because I'm torn.
Okay, so I'll kind of go through my thing. I think I agree all the matches were good. I think the best was Danielson Guevara. That kind of over-delivered a bit. Like, I kind of expected this whole thing. I thought that it ended up being really well done. And I think both the tag matches were pretty on point, and the main event was solid, just like lacked a little bit of heat to it.
Yes.
Which I think that's all right. Out of the promos, I think MJF's promo was pretty solid. Matt Taven killed it. That was just
A+. Peak. Makes the show A+.
Oh, absolutely. Danielson was solid. Decent bits. Like, I think Renee was fine in like the women's segment.
Yep.
Jazz was alright. Phoenix fine. And Eddie Kingston was alright. Darby was solid too. So I think generally it was like pretty solid and like the good matches. So I give it a solid B+, because I think it was like pretty good show, like average good.
Yep, I was hemming and hawing between B+ and B, so I'll agree with you. There was nothing that was bad, I don't think, but also nothing where I'm like, you have to go out and see it.
Maybe Dancing Virus.
Agree. That'll be what bumps it up to a B+ for me. So yeah, very solid, very solid show again this week. All right, so let's take a break from deep dive into wrestling shows and take a look at some wrestling trivia in a segment we call Off the Top of His Head. All right, so a very timely trivia. I have 20 questions. I found them hard. I did not do super great. From what culture? And it is Halloween wrestling trivia.
All
right, so some of these are hard, but we'll see. Which ECW legend was in the crowd for Halloween Havoc 1989? I have options too.
I have no idea.
So options?
Sure.
Sabu, Dreamer, Sandman, RVD.
RVD.
No, that was my guess
Dreamer.
too. It was Sandman.
Oh, nailed it.
What year did John Cena dress as Vanilla Ice for Halloween?
2003.
Why? Why do you know that?
Started the Thungonomics.
You're funny. Okay, that's a good answer then. Which of these men hasn't won a trick or street fight in WWE? Okay, so who hasn't won one? Ambrose?
He has.
Ziggler?
I think he has.
Amore? Enzo?
Nice. I know.
And The Miz?
Miz.
Correct.
I'm pretty sure he just loses them.
Correct. Wow, all right. Which superhero did Kurt Angle dress as for Halloween last year?
That's not fair.
Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, Superman.
Captain America, I guess.
That is correct.
Yeah. Last year.
That makes sense, I guess, right? Kurt Angle. That makes sense. Who attempted to save Hulk Hogan from the Yeti at Halloween Havoc 1995? I have options if you need it.
Ed Leslie, whatever his gimmick was.
No. Paige, Savage, Sting, Flair.
Savage.
Correct.
Even though they hate each other.
What was Stephanie McMahon dressed as when Eric Bischoff kissed her while dressed as her dad? Wow, that is a messed up sentence to say. I have options if you want them. You think you know? You look like you might. You look like you think you should know this.
I should know this. Okay.
Nun, Wonder Woman, Witch, Skeleton.
Wonder Woman.
No.
Witch.
Correct.
Which is a witch.
Which WWF legend debuted at Halloween Havoc 96? So obviously jumping over to WCW. In 96. I have options if you'd like.
Okay.
DiBiase, Luger, Savage, Piper.
DiBiase.
No, that was my guess too.
Not Luger, not Savage.
So?
I forgot the last one.
Piper. Correct.
Okay.
What TV show did the Fashion Files parody on a Halloween SmackDown?
I have no idea.
They're saying last year's. So here are your options. Think current. Stranger Things, X-Files, Twin Peaks, Miami Vice.
Twin Peaks?
No.
Stranger Things?
Yes, of course.
Wait, but that wouldn't have been last year.
Whatever this was made, right? I don't know. Who won the Divas #1 contender Halloween costume battle royal in 2014? Oh, I thought you'd know this one because it seems like something you would know.
Why?
You want options? I don't know, just because you know things I'd have no idea why you'd know them. Paige, Nikki Bella, AJ Lee, Brie Bella.
Paige?
No.
AJ Lee?
No.
Nikki?
Correct. What rating did Dave Meltzer give Hulk Hogan versus The Warrior at Halloween Havoc 98? I'll give you a hint. It's in the minuses.
I have no idea.
-5 stars.
Ooh.
It's a good one. Who disguised themselves as Ghostface to attack John Cena in 2011? I got this one right. Probably guessed, though. I have options.
I should know. Okay.
R-Truth, Miz, Del Rio, Punk.
R-Truth.
Correct. What belt was on the line when Bret Hart faced Sting at Halloween Havoc 1998?
U.S. title?
Correct.
I just saw that on the TV.
Who put Abdullah the Butcher in the electric chair at Halloween Havoc 91?
Sting?
No, but he was
Cactus?
an option. So Steiner, Sting.
Steiner.
Which one?
Rick.
Correct. What was
Chamber of Horrors, baby.
What was the stipulation for Sting versus Jake Roberts at Halloween Havoc 92?
Snake on a pole.
No. Texas Death Match, First Blood, Coal Miner's Glove, Barbed Wire.
Coal Miner's Glove.
Correct. Did you know, or did you
Snake?
Or did you just want to say
I
Coal
assumed
Miners?
because Snake.
Yeah. Which wrestler did Seth Rollins dress as for Halloween when he was a child?
Sting.
No, that was an option though.
But because you faced Sting. Oh wait, Shawn Michaels.
No. He dressed as them as a kid. So Rollins as a kid dressed as
Shawn Michaels.
No. Gangrel, Undertaker, Kane, or Sting?
Sting.
No.
That was the whole point of his feud with Sting.
Well, maybe that wasn't true though. The answer is given here is the Undertaker.
Screw you, Seth Rollins.
What year was the last ever Halloween Havoc? This one I knew.
WCW?
Correct.
2000?
Correct. Stephanie McMahon made her WWF TV debut visiting whose house for Halloween candy? So obviously when she was a kid, I guess.
Undertaker.
No. Piper, DiBiase, Hogan, Savage.
Hogan.
No.
Savage.
No.
Piper.
You're good at this. Piper, correct.
Yeah.
How long was the monster truck match at Halloween Havoc?
I don't want to know.
1, 2, 4, or 8 minutes?
8.
No.
4.
Yes. Who left Halloween Havoc 2000 as WCW champion?
Steiner.
No.
Scott Steiner. Sid Vicious.
Nash, Jarrett, Steiner, Booker T.
Nash. Jarrett.
You really don't know much
Booker
about
T.
WCW, correct?
Oh, I thought it was be Lord Humongous.
Who was Big E dressed as for a trick-or-treat street fight on SmackDown?
And when?
It says last year, but again. It says last night, actually.
I have no idea.
Edge, Gangrel, Christian, or Bash and Booger?
Oh, he was he was Edge.
No.
What?
No.
Gangrel?
Correct.
Okay, because I know they just did the Brood, so I didn't know which
Told you
one
that
it
was hard. You
Yeah.
did better than me, but still not good. You
You're
don't know
not
much. WCW is your blind spot.
No, I know, but
A
it's just
little
like
bit.
this whole thing's really obscure.
It is really obscure. So, anyways, you did pretty well. I imagine better than most people playing along with you at home. So, anyways, now we'll switch back
You in the
into
millions?
talking about other stuff we watched and liked and didn't like this week in a segment we like to call Highspots and Restholds. All right, so this week I watched all of NXT. I watched
you poor soul.
all of Impact Wrestling. I watched some like a 10-15 minute highlight package of Raw, I think, and
Oh God,
pretty much nothing of SmackDown. So I'm hoping you brought some.
a little bit.
Okay, so I'll start with my NXT experience, which I seem to have a lot to say about them this week, so I'll try and keep it quick.
That's nice.
NXT High Spot, the opening women's tag team championship match. I actually thought this was pretty good. You know how Chance and Carter are hit and miss for me? This was one of the ones that kind of hit.
Okay.
I thought it was a nice contrast. They really leaned into the champions are fast, and then you've got Lyons and Stark are the powerhouses, right? So they kind of leaned into that.
That works.
Including Chance again, a nice Spanish fly off the top. There was a false finish in this. We got new champions crowned and the whole deal. And then eventually Carter and Chance, when they restarted the match, they ended up winning with their 450 neckbreaker combo finisher, which is pretty cool. I didn't restarting the match because the thing was that the ref didn't see a tag, and considering all of the other things that happen in every other match that never get noticed, right? It's kind of a disconnect there, but you get what they're doing. Overall, it over-delivered for me. It wasn't amazing, but I thought it was pretty fun to watch.
A little bit heat for a rematch, I guess.
I guess so. And then a high spot, possibly, is them teasing the return of Donovan Dijak, right? It's the vignettes where he's burning his...
Dijakovic, what are you saying?
They're burning his mask, and even making reference to...
Retribution.
Right, Retribution and stuff. So...
But I love T-Bar.
He can be good if handled correctly, right? So
because he was pretty cool in NXT.
His matches with Keith Lee were fantastic, right?
Exactly.
So he definitely deserves better than he got in Retribution. I think we can agree.
So I think everyone deserves better than that. Even Mia Yim. I don't like Mia Yim.
I'm hoping things go well for him. NXT Resthold would be R-Truth making an appearance on NXT.
I saw that. I was like, what?
So he showed up in a Waller-Wesley segment. And the running gag was that he thought Waller was British, and I guess that's supposed to be funny.
And he came because he thought it was Halloween Havoc, even though that was already done.
And we get a match between those two next week.
So R-Truth is back?
And it
looks
like
is match with R-Truth, to clarify? Okay.
And then it ends with, obviously, Waller trying to do whatever, but R-Truth is one step ahead and clears the ring kind of deal. So just a nothing segment.
I too have R-Truth related nonsense.
Great. Another rest hold was Shotzi versus Lash Legend. Why do I feel like
God.
Were you around
I saw
for that?
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, that's legitimately, it's like they thought of the worst thing they could come up with.
The problem is,
it's like Shotzi's here. Let's do the worst thing possible.
I get that Lash is bad, right? She's inexperienced, so I don't really blame her.
Shotzi's been bad since she was in NXT, which was a while ago now.
It just reminds me, she's like the Jeff Hardy. Nothing she does, it looks really clean.
Jeff Hardy is fine in the ring, though. Like, I think Shotzi's pretty bad.
So it only took 3 minutes for Shotzi to win here. It seems like they've sort of recognized what they have in Legend and have sort of pumped the brakes on her a little bit. Instead of like squashing people, she's now getting squashed.
I don't know what's worse, like watching a wrestle or the talk show, because that was horrendous.
Really bad. Yes. They need to figure out what to do with her.
I don't ever want to watch that ever again.
High spot for me was Veer and Sangha attacking the Creeds.
Oh, I saw that.
So the Creeds were addressing Damon Kemp. Damon Kemp showed up on the screen. He's not cleared to face Brutus tonight. And then Veer and Sangha just show up and destroyed the Creeds. And the Creeds have been booked to look really strong. So this helps.
That kind of benefits.
Yeah. Right. So
Indus or whatever you call it.
Sangha, who's coming off being like a gentle giant babyface, showed a bit of hesitation before choke slamming one of the Creeds. But then Veer took out one and Sangha willingly chokeslammed the other. So it looks like he is fully agreeing with Veer or they're on the same page or whatever.
Which I think probably works better as a gimmick for him.
And I like these two huge guys in nice suits just coming out and destroying a really strong team.
It kind of reminds me of when AOP returned and they joined up with Rollins and they were wearing suits for a bit.
Right. Yeah, and
I miss that.
I'm sure I'm not going to love these two in the ring, even though I think Sangha has gotten better, but I like the way they were presented here, at least, right? Is all I can say.
Mm-hmm.
Another high spot was the Malik Blade and Afe taking on Pretty Deadly, and that was a tag team championship match as well. So really fun match, had high-flying, high-energy baby faces, and then you just have, like, Pretty Deadly are just, like, the solid, steady heels that take every shortcut available, right? They're not amazing technicians or high flyers. They just work a really simple heel style, and it seems to work against almost anybody. This was more of a showcase for Blade. I thought he had a crazy dive over the corner to the floor that looked pretty much perfect. So he got a lot of shine in this match, because I find a lot of times it's Afe that gets a lot of the high spots and stuff, but this seemed like a showcase for Blade, and he looked good. And Blade and Afe still have a ways to go, but they have lots of potential, especially as a babyface tag team, which seems to be hard to find. And Pretty Deadly are just the perfect foil for a babyface team, right? So I thought this was a good match. Resthold, as you mentioned in the news, so I won't say much, Schism reveals their newest member. So they all take a turn speaking before the reveal. Nobody says anything, even though they all talk. The crowd dies.
It's like saying a bunch, but not saying anything.
Right. They're all doing like Bray Wyatt light promos, right? Where they're not really saying anything. And previous Bray, I'm not talking about currently because I don't really know what he's up to now, but
I can't even tell, and I'm trying to watch it.
Rock's daughter is the new member. There actually is some crowd reaction for that, not anything else Schism did. She sounded pretty uncomfortable here. That's understandable. She's kind of a rookie and in a stupid gimmick and faction, so it's tough.
Make you more comfortable.
My final thing from NXT, the high spot, was the entertaining main event. So we got JD McDonough. He defeated Dragunov by referee stoppage after Dragunov was put out by a McDonough submission. And Dragunov was still selling his ribs the whole time from Halloween Havoc, which plays in perfectly for JD McDonough's character right now, right? Where he's going to target that and know a million ways to hurt your already injured ribs sort of thing. So yeah, it was a really intense back and forth. I thought JD looked like a killer. Dragunov looked extremely tough, as he always does. And I like JD going over here, but I don't know do you think the plan is he like contending with Breakker? Because that doesn't seem realistic now. He's kind of already been there and not successful. Right. So I don't know.
You kind of wait for Breakker to drop it, I guess, but I don't know.
I think he has to drop it Carmelo Hayes, right? Because you've got heel Carmelo Hayes right now, even though he's cool heel and the crowd likes him. He's awesome. So I would love to get it on to Hayes, and then you can go Dragunov Hayes would be cool, right? So I don't know. I don't know when or how they get this belt off Breakker the way they're presenting him.
They gotta do the cash in.
Or he just vacates like Asuka and is gone. I don't know. The cash in I'm fine with.
He could drop it to Hayes. You kind of gotta have that.
He could
rite of passage, the losing to someone. On
Hayes is so damn good and looks so good with a belt too. Like I don't know. That would be my move, but we'll see. Did you want to jump in before I do Impact?
Yeah. So Resthold Omos squash against 4 guys.
I watched that. And then
also confirmed him versus Braun Strowman for Saudi.
One of the guys for a second looked like if Ryback had stopped working out for like a decade. I was like, well, Ryback's back? But yeah, I actually watched a bit of that. I don't know how it helps anyone. Like, anyways, it's Omos.
Filling TV time.
Yeah, I guess so.
Then my other one from Raw is Gargano distracting the Miz with Loomis disguise.
I saw that too.
R-Truth beats Miz via distraction roll up.
Yes. Distraction. I heard there were plenty distraction roll-ups this week on Raw.
Gargano, like poor Gargano.
The reviews I listened to basically said this was a Raw that felt like it was back to Vince in control. They were like, did Vince give Triple H a call and say like, do all this stuff?
Exactly.
Or sneak in and rip up the script before showtime sort of thing?
Yeah, he snuck and ripped it.
One of his favorite
rewrote
things.
Again.
Just dropped off a different one. Should I go Impact then?
Yeah, and then I have one from SmackDown.
Okay,
that's it.
So Impact Wrestling High Spot, the opening X Division tournament match. So they are now, since Option C,
come on.
Option C has been implemented. That belt goes back up for grabs. So they've started a tournament. It was Alan Angels and Trey Miguel. Really fast-paced, competitive match. Angels kicked out of several believable near falls, so he looked pretty good in this. Miguel ended up winning the match with his lightning spiral, advancing to the next round of the tournament. And honestly, really good match, and you've got a simple story behind it, right? They're in a tournament, they're both trying to advance. That's all they need. That's a realistic story. Adds a bit of stakes and motivation to the match. I thought it was a really good TV match.
Mm-hmm.
Another high spot for me was Ace Austin and Chris Bay kind of speaking up, sounding strong in a backstage segment. Now, sadly, that segment involved them dealing with Tommy Dreamer and Bully Ray, surrounding whether Bully Ray was the one to take out Ace Austin weeks ago. But Austin and Bay, they deserve more TV time. They should be elevated into the top of this tag division, which it seems like they're really putting some time in on this tag division I'll come to next. But so
now that your faves has left.
Right. So this segment led to a Dreamer Bay match being made, and at that point, my notes are, man, Bay better win this match, and he does. Even with Moose interference making it look like he might lose, he does still end up beating Dreamer.
Oh, I think I saw a bit of that where he's like trying to frame Bully Ray.
Yes. And then they mentioned that Tommy Dreamer has been wrestling longer than Chris Bay has been alive. And my comment is, this is not the flex that you think it is, right? Like, are you supposed to be making Tommy Dreamer look good? Or to me, it makes everyone look bad because this is an old man, right?
Right.
In wrestling in 2022.
How old's Bay then?
Bay's young. Bay's like mid, probably 26, 27.
Oh, nice.
He's super
like
young.
MJF kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. So another high spot, like I sort of hinted at, the attention being paid to the tag division right now. So both Motor City Machine Guns and the major players, I don't even know when they got united, but I guess they are.
A little while ago.
They were both backstage wanting to get a shot at Heath and Rhino. Then you also have Bay and Austin that you can add to the mix. I'm sure that...
Oh, right. Heath and Rhino are...
Right, which isn't my favorite, but... And then I'm sure you can have a tag team emerge from Eric Young's new little group that could be like filler at the bottom of the division.
I thought it was just still Violent by Design now.
And then add to this division my next high spot, which is Aussie Open are back.
Yay.
So Fletcher cut a promo, sounded pretty good, kind of.
I want them in AEW more.
Almost felt babyfacey because he's like, we admit we lost to Motor City Machine Guns and they were the better team on that day. And they're basically an open challenge for next week. And I think that's going to end up being Josh Alexander and Kazarian sort of agree to face them, even though neither of them need a partner, blah, 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 blah. I think that's what we're going to get. So that match should be pretty good.
I thought you were going to say Alexander and Ethan Page. I was like, what?
Resthold, Tommy Dreamer, and Bully Ray in multiple segments again this week. And I don't care if Bully attacked Ace Austin or not. I don't care that Bully and Dreamer... They're just taking away time from anyone else on this roster, and I don't want it. A match and multiple segments for these guys in 2022, to me, is unacceptable. And I'm going to keep saying it every week that it happens, okay? And not only that, but not long ago, Tommy Dreamer was, like, disgraced or whatever, right? For basically supporting Ric Flair in his nonsense. So, again,
I forgot about that.
Not super thrilled that we're just going to forget about that and put him back on TV. But anyways, two more things. High spot, Alex Shelley, Matt Cardona had a really good quality TV match with the heel Cardona really leaning into being the bigger, physically dominant competitor. Because in WWE, he didn't seem that big, right? But
oh, no. I would never... Like, cause I've seen he looks bigger now. Like, I never would have thought of him like that.
Anywhere else, he is a big dude.
Yeah.
So he leaned into
kind of
that.
like a Billy Gunn kind of thing. Like, again, never would have thought like he's that big.
Huge guys. And Shelley leans into the role of the resilient babyface. So the Machine Guns stop Myers from cheating twice, and that leads to near falls for Cardona. Cheap shots, the ref is trying to gain control. The third time's the charm. Belt shot from Myers earns Cardona the win. And it looks to set, I guess, the major players up to be the next tag team title challengers, I think is where they're going with that.
I think I saw it's at Overdrive or whatever it is.
Yeah, so this was just two really experienced veterans putting on a good match in the middle of a 2-hour wrestling show. And I appreciate it. And then finally, both a high spot and a rest hold, if I can sit on the fence. Honor No More is officially dead. But Eddie Edwards still got more mic time to talk about it, so that's the downside for me. So Gia talked to him, and he says Vincent's in the hospital. OGK have been fired. That was part of their write-off in this show. They're out of Impact already, obviously. And Kenny King is focused on the X Division. So he's then asked about what's going on with his wife. He refuses to answer anything about that. Calls PCO a bitch one more time. Yes.
Why? Well,
because she put the ultimatum, right? Either we're done or you're done with Honor No More. So then the follow-up is like, since Honor No More is done, what's going on with you and Alicia? And he's like, I don't want to talk about it. But PCO's a bitch, so they can go off into a meaningless feud that I don't care about. But all in all, Impact wasn't bad. Like, there was some pretty decent in-ring stuff. The main event was the women's 6 tag, and it was fine, but nothing that I wanted to mention. So that's it for me. You said you had one more?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about it.
The only wrestle I have was Brawling Brutes versus Sikoa and Zayn. Ridge ran by Sikoa, and he's like, so he ran by Sikoa when like that and hit him, and then like that was like a shoulder tackle thing. I'm like, that was lame. And also Butch won with a distraction roll up. Butch is still Butch, and now Brawling Brutes Usos again in Saudi, which sucks.
That is
and
a rest hold.
Like,
Butch is Butch.
I commented something about Pete Dunne, and like people are like, Butch and Pete Dunne are the same now, and
They
I'm
are
like,
not.
I'm like, did you watch Pete Dunne?
Right.
Like, this is not Pete Dunne.
No, and I'm not watching
it.
a ton of it, but anything I do see when I check highlights or talk to you, it does not seem that he is Pete Dunne. But anyways.
That's all I got.
All right, that's going to lead us into our final segment where Jack is going to update us from the world of wrestling action figures, I assume, including his purchases that he made
That's pretty much all it is.
couple days ago. So we'll move into that now. We call that Figuring It Out with Jack. All right, so before you get into telling us about all the stuff you picked up this week, it was funny because I was nervous when we got to that store because I expected you to have a bunch of stuff right away, and you were I expected you to be like stacking boxes. So I was like, oh my God, did we drive an hour and a half to his favorite place and they don't have anything he wants? But rest assured,
I literally got 10.
Rest assured you found stuff. So I don't know how you want to do this. Is there any releases you wanted to talk about, or is it just what you picked up?
I haven't noticed anything releases.
All right, so let's talk about, where did we go first? Was that Bounty Hunter?
Yeah, Bounty Hunter.
So what did you end up with at Bounty Hunter?
So from there they had, okay, let me think.
Did you take a picture of all of them?
Yeah, but, oh yeah, right. I got WrestleMania 38 Elite Shawn Michaels, and it didn't have the Build-A-Figure parts. So it was like cheaper, which I didn't mind because the only figure in that set I really had much interest in was the Shawn Michaels.
And that's the figure that had the cool shirt thing, right?
And that's cool because I don't really need the Build-A-Figure parts.
Right.
It's not.
And you save money.
Right.
Beautiful.
And then I got a loose AJ Styles Elite, which was I think the Network Spotlight Elite from like years and years ago from
very good condition.
33. Yeah.
Right, and good price.
I got Top Picks 2019 AJ Styles, which is like the neon green stripes.
Right.
So that's not bad. I got Elite 82 Balor, which is NXT Balor. From like a couple years ago. So that's
cool. Best ever heel Balor.
Yeah. Peak Balor.
Yeah, I agree.
Ultimate Edition
Edge,
I think.
Yes.
I think Series 8 it was. So that's cool.
With the weird hair flowing in the breeze.
The weird screaming head.
Yeah.
I also got Elite 74 Andrade with the mask.
Yeah, it looked cool.
The yellow gear.
Always support Andrade.
Elite 82 John Morrison as well.
Right.
I think that's it. And then I also got
your mother kept calling Uncle John, and they're like, why do you call him that? And then we had to explain that any wrestler we've met for a second is now related to us.
I got an Undisputed title too. It's like a Jack specific version, so I had a weird strap on it. So then I put the plates on a spinner belt strap, like a Mattel one, so just to kind of modify it, so that looks kind of cool.
Because this store has like
title.
It's in the old trays from a Matchbox car, because I had those, and they just have them full of figure belts that you can pick
the Mattel
through.
version was like 40 something bucks, which was surprising. And he's like, whenever like a new figure comes out with that belt, then it's cheaper, which a figure just came out. Oh, I also got Elite Top X Drew McIntyre, right?
Right.
With the interchangeable head.
So was that everything from Bounty Hunter?
Yeah, and then I got the belt too, which I modified to look better. And then Walmart had some figures, so I got Elite 90 Jey Uso in the all white, and then Randall Keith in the all white with the night goggles.
Right. Oh yes, the night vision goggles, very important.
Mm-hmm.
And is that all of them? That's everything?
Yeah, and then I guess on Monday when we went to get the Octagon from the pawn shop, then we went to Toys R Us at Upper Canada.
Yes.
And I got Unrivaled Series 8, I got Best Friends and new Jonathan Moxley.
Nice. So you've been working a ton of hours, so you got to spend a little bit of your money, maybe not as much as you would like, and I think your mom and I helped you out with some of it as well,
yeah,
right?
Mom got the Morrison and Andrade.
Because we're nice people.
And Zabel.
Support your hobbies. To a fault, probably, but anyways. That's everything then?
It is.
Wow, that's a relatively short episode for us. We're just coming in at over an hour and a half, so I like that. But thank you for joining us for episode 119. Again, if you have any interest in listening to just me talking about Halloween Havoc, I did put that out. I think it was yesterday. It is there. So we appreciate any time you take to spend listening to us talk about wrestling. We'll be back for episode 120. I don't think there's anything exciting happening before that, right?
But it's Crown Jewel, I think.
Well, yeah, we don't watch that, but
that's true.
Anyways, we could, but no, I try not to support them. But anyways,
yeah.
So we'll definitely be back next Saturday for episode.
Watch
and one, no, I do not. Join us again next week for episode 120, and until then, everybody, take care.